Hello and welcome to Your City in Action. I'm your host, Marnie Ryan. Today on the program, I have the wonderful opportunity of interviewing City Commissioner Mr. John Blanchard. Hello, John, how are you?
I'm doing great, Marnie. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm so glad you're here. We've never had you on the program.
Yeah, well, there's a first time for everything. Sometimes a second. I've been on the scene.
Yes, you have.
But,
you have.
I feel like I'm on every Monday, so, I don't kind of want to wear things out, so.
You are on every Monday, and those city commission meetings, they are ever so entertaining.
They are.
But they're, more informative than anything else. But there's a little entertainment factor going on there.
Well, from time to time, I think try to keep some of the weighty things light and some of the more boring things lively. So, yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, since you are a city commissioner, and kind of the reason why this program was started, we're supposed to, Community Access does a show highlighting different entities or services of the Saline County or City of Salina. And I always thought it was interesting for city commissioners to remind the community that, you are a citizen. You were a citizen before you were elected, and, you do regular things like everyone else does. But I think sometimes people's perception is you sit in those, in those chairs and you have the microphone, you make all these decisions, and I think they kind of lose fact that you are just a citizen like everybody else. Mm-hmm. So that being said, Mr. John Blanchard, give us a little backstory. Tell us about you.
All right, little backstory is I was actually born in Salina, out at Schilling. My father was in the Air Force, and I have two sisters, Leslie, who lives in Abilene, and Mary, who lives in Salina. Grew up in a military family, moved all around the world, moved back to Salina in 1976, went to high school and went at South High School, and went to college at K-State, and graduated in '88, moved to New York City, lived in New York, Pennsylvania, Utah, and now back in Salina.
Now, when did exactly you move back to Salina after living in New York and Utah and everywhere?
Moved back in 2010.
Wow. Now, did you just want to be close to family?
Yeah, I had an opportunity to come back here to be closer to family. Also, I've owned a couple of different businesses, and the latest one was in Utah. It was a construction business and custom cabinets and countertops, and that closed down with the sort of the housing crash in 2008 and 9. And so I figured it'd be probably never get another opportunity to spend any significant time in Salina. So I had come back here with the intention of spending a little bit of time, but not really moving back here. But having spent a little bit of time and getting involved in the community a little bit more, it kind of grew into kind of living here more full time. That's
awesome. Now, I know this because, having filmed many city commission meetings, I know that you attended a lot of city commission meetings before you actually ran for the commission. What prompted that? Well,
in my career, I'm a landscape architect and a land planner, and a lot of the things that I would do in that profession would be getting approvals and entitlements placed on different real estate development projects. So I've spent considerable time in front of planning commissions and city commissions and going to a lot of those meetings because you really want to stay in tune with what's going on in those communities and kind of where the sentiment of the community is and what they want and development patterns and so on. So when I came back here to Salina, I naturally wanted to see what was going on in town, and that's kind of what I know how to do, so that's where I went. Part of that process led to work with the North Salina Community Development Group, which initially was set up to work toward getting a grocery store in North Salina, and I felt like there were a lot of things that needed to do before a grocery store was just going to magically show up. And a lot of that had to do with planning and so on. And so I took the fact that I was already going to those meetings and a new involvement in the North Salina group and volunteered to be their liaison with the City and Planning Commission. So a lot of those things kind of are what got me to attending a lot of those meetings. And it was really helpful to get an idea of what was going on in the community, what the comprehensive plan said about how the community's vision was and how they wanted to grow and develop. Also, tied in with that is strategic planning on how the implementation of some of these visions gets put together. And just being able to relate that to the initiatives they were trying to do in North Salina was kind of a helpful thing to do.
Now, you said earlier you're not initially from North Salina, but yet you feel very compelled and passionate to help out with that area and that group. That's pretty awesome.
Right, yeah, I don't, I don't have any personal connection. I didn't grow up in North Salina. I don't own property there or a business or anything else in North Salina. But, it's kind of as an overall, when you go to a lot of those meetings and you see what the vision of the community is, what the challenges are, what some of the different priorities that a community has, you kind of start to put some of those pieces together, and you see maybe how all of those pieces working together in a more harmonious way kind of work to create a stronger overall community. And so that kind of is wherever I've lived, I've kind of been pretty involved in the communities that I've lived in through different, just mostly volunteering for different events and with different groups. But, I just saw that being able to volunteer with that group and lend my skills that I had in particular to offer to that group fit pretty well.
Now, was it your involvement with the North Salina Community Development Group that kind of led to you wanting to run for City Commission? How did that happen?
Well, yeah, I'd say that it did. I'd say that probably if I hadn't been involved in the way that I was with North Salina, that I probably wouldn't have run. Mm-hmm. I probably would still be attending meetings if I were still here. But I think part of me being here is, and my decision to stay in Salina was mostly because being elected, but what led to that was being involved in sort of a cause or an effort to help out a part of your town that you feel strongly needs to be addressed. So yeah, I never had any thoughts or goals to be in political office at all, or even kind of shied away from planning commissions for the most part, because being a land planner, it's hard to do that and have that as your profession. But in a town that's small enough like Salina, I think there are a lot of opportunities to get involved. And so this is just another layer of being involved. And as you mentioned before, we're all just citizens. Mm-hmm. And it's mostly a volunteer position. But no, I never considered really before doing it. But mm-hmm. I think the more people get involved, the more they kind of look at what can I kind of do and lend my skills and talents and experience to. And it just seemed like a good fit.
So your time in the City Commission so far, what has maybe surprised you? Something that maybe you didn't realize, even though you've attended City Commission meetings quite often?
Well, I think the biggest surprise is the time commitment. And, you see on the schedule that the study session starts at 2:30 to 4, and then you have a 4 o'clock meeting, and generally they'll should run about 5:30, 6. Sometimes they run 8:30 or 9. So, and throwing a few executive sessions here and there, and it's pretty much an 8-hour day. But you also have the time that it takes to prepare for the meeting. We get a packet on Thursday afternoons, late afternoon, and it usually takes anywhere from 3 to 6 hours to go through the packet, depending on how complex some of the items are. In addition to that, if you have additional questions of staff or anybody, you need a clarification, of course, then you want to try and schedule some of that time. And Commissioner Hardy and I have a standing hour meeting-long time with the city manager, Jason Gage, and it's real helpful to kind of get more in-depth information on certain issues, and that's real helpful. And then, of course, each commissioner has additional boards that they serve on, and I serve on the North Central Regional Planning Commission on the executive board, and I also, along with Kay Crawford, sit on the Saline County Salina Building Authority mm-hmm. board. I'm a official guest of the Salina Airport Authority board as well. So each of those meet once a month, and so there's there's quite a time outlay. I'd say probably easily 20 to 25 hours a week is not uncommon.
Wow. Wow, that is way more than just showing up for a study session and a meeting once a week.
It is, and I think that though it varies for other folks. I'm sure that they probably spend more or less time. But I do know that it is one of the things that if you want to be very prepared for and you really want to give the job the attention it deserves and requires, then I think that that time is necessary. But I had figured it would be that much time, but I work long weeks anyway, so it's definitely, I believe it's rewarding, because I do believe that the more effort you're willing to put into something, you do kind of get that return back. So
definitely. Now, when does your term expire?
2017, April.
April 2017. And it's probably premature to ask, but do you envision that you will run again?
Well, it depends. I would say that I hope that I don't have to, but it's all about, we make commitments when we run for office. I know that I did. I made some commitments to help to see a turnaround in some of the things that are important, such as redevelopment and a lot of downtown stuff. But I would say that if I'm successful in being able to kind of usher in some of that and help with some of that, then it wouldn't be necessary, but I would continue the commitment if we're not quite there at that time. So I'm open to serving additionally if those commitments aren't fulfilled at that time.
Now, will you be mayor?
I will be mayor. Will be 2015.
Wow.
So
Are you excited for that?
Well, that depends. No, I will be vice mayor next year. It's kind of as it rolls forward. And for those that aren't aware, the process is that during the election, that the candidate that receives the most votes in that election would be the mayor 3 years out. So that's kind of how that works. And then before me will be Commissioner Householder, and then following me will be Commissioner Crawford.
Wow. I think that just the whole, I don't know, I can't imagine being mayor. I just, one day you're vice, mayor, and the next day, boom, you're mayor.
Well, you get to run the meetings. Other than that, it's mostly, our form of government being a city manager and commissioners, it's the mayor's position is generally more of a ceremonial type, that the mayor gets the same vote and of course gets to run the meeting, is the presiding officer. Of course, Aaron will tell you differently, that the mayor is in charge of everything.
Oh, Commissioner Householder, he's funny.
No, I'll tell you what I love about Aaron's one of the first guys that is truly and genuinely, sincerely excited about being mayor. And I mean, I think we all kind of are. It's kind of a neat thing. But I think that he really has a passion for Salina. He's lived here his whole life. And it's a big deal, and I think it ought to be. I'm excited to have a mayor that is that passionate and excited about being mayor. So I look forward to that. So I don't want to say that I'm not excited at all, because it is an honor. But we don't get any special privileges.
Darn it. But you get to say you're mayor. I mean, that's pretty cool. And your picture will be on the city-county building on the wall. Yeah. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like forever.
Yeah, well, it better be a good picture. Maybe I can get a stand-in.
Oh, it's all good. Well, now, okay, so you're going to be mayor eventually, and you're serving on the city commission. And we've talked a little bit about Commissioner Householder. What would you say, if you could, to kind of explain or describe, in your opinion, what the city commission is like? I mean, because in my opinion, in the years I've covered city commission meetings, it's a very diverse and very interesting group of individuals. I mean, very different personalities that I think represent and bring good representation of ideas and opinions about our community. But what is your opinion? Because you actually deal with them on a much
Right.
more intense level.
Right, and I appreciate, we do have a very diverse commission, we get along really well, I believe, with one another. I think everybody gets along real well. I think everybody brings pretty different skills and gifts to kind of their seat. Commissioner Crawford has a lot of years of experience in working in the city government that really brings a perspective that's thoughtful and considerate, and she's very measured and she just is really a thoughtful person and brings kind of that skill. Randall, being a former business owner, kind of brings the skill of a business owner and sort of the business end of things. Myself, as a planner, I kind of bring that stuff. Barb's the only commissioner on the panel that has children in the here and in the schools, and her husband works in the community, and so she brings a perspective that is none of the rest of us have. And then Aaron is extremely enthusiastic. He has a broad knowledge of a lot of different topics. He's a business guy. He also served on the planning commission, so he really understands a lot of that stuff really well. And I think that just all together, it's just kind of a nice team because everybody kind of has a nice little specialty, so to speak, that they are able to bring.
That is awesome. Now, you did say earlier, you mentioned that you didn't really ever in life have any aspirations or dreams to be a city commissioner. Like when you were a small child, you didn't think one day I'm going to be mayor, right?
No.
Okay. And that's okay though, because I can't say that I have either. In fact, I don't know. It always impresses me on public forum. Does public forum ever make you a little nervous? Because you never know what the people are going to say, and you're live on TV. You're being recorded, and newspapers there. Sometimes TV, other media is there. How does that feel? Is it a little bizarre at times, maybe? Or?
Well, you film it, of course.
Well, I know what I think, but
Yeah, no, it's sometimes I think that the discussion items kind of can catch you off guard from time to time, and I'm not quite sure where people are coming from all the time, but it takes an awful lot of courage to get up and for a lot of people to get up in public and speak. So I think that there is a definite level of respect that I have for each person that gets up there to, not only in the public forum, but when they want to get up there and advocate on behalf of their position on an issue. That it's a difficult thing for most people to do, public speaking. I don't enjoy it particularly, so I definitely respect people that are willing to get up and get out of their comfort zone a little bit and speak in public and stuff. So even though sometimes I might not agree with them or not quite sure where they're coming from, I can at least respect the fact that they're up there and willing to get up and say something.
Well, it was interesting, if I recall correctly, I believe Commissioner Jennings, when his farewell speech, he mentioned how, the commission, sometimes you lose friends for a while and maybe you get them back. Have you had any experience of that since you've been on the commission, maybe where friends maybe don't agree with the stance you've taken or decision the commission has made?
Yeah, definitely. I think Norm, he said it a bit in light humor, but I think he was also speaking from his experience, and I think that he probably went through a little bit of that too. But yeah, he was absolutely right. But I think that you have to kind of have the mentality of saying, I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing here, and so that whatever position I take on something, I want to fully research it. I want to try to explain to people why it is that I'm doing this, and maybe document sort of whether it's through strategic planning, staff recommendations, comprehensive plan, a well-reasoned explanation for why I'm doing, particularly if I'm going to be voting against something. I think it's really important that if somebody is there and requesting something and you're going to be in the role of denying something, that that you define clearly for their benefit what it is that why it is that you're voting against something. But you know, I don't have that many friends to begin with, so I'm not gonna.
Whatever.
So I'm not that worried about that.
Oh, sure. You only got elected to city commission, you know.
Well, yeah,
You know, you got to have a few friends, right?
well, I have very generous people that supported me and voted for me, and that's something I don't joke about, because it is, you know, I do appreciate that, and there is a lot of trust placed in that, and so hopefully I can pay that back with being thoughtful, researching the issues, asking questions on their behalf, and treating, I think, the office with the dignity that I think that they would expect me to, by, you know, placing their vote and their trust in me.
Definitely. Now, I know you're very involved in, you know, the North Side community development, and you're a planner, and, you know, you've talked a lot about the strategic plan and the comprehensive plan, but what are some things that you want to accomplish or are very important to you while you're serving on the city commission and mayor in the future?
Well, there are a number of things, and to kind of go back on some of the, you know, the planning issues and so on. You know, redevelopment is a big theme in our comprehensive plan, and so one of the things is obviously to help bring us more towards a redevelopment mentality. There's a lot of, we always hear about how people want to, you know, that our taxes are going up, we need to cut, you know, we need to cut our spending and things like that. And sometimes cutting spending isn't just about how are we saving money on this year's budget by cutting that out. We're looking, and I'd like to kind of continue along the line of seeing, well, how do we plan our future in a way that we reduce some of our costs in years 5, 10, and 20, and for the next generation. And I think that that's done with real good quality planning. And I think we have a nice comprehensive plan that likes to try to get us there. I would like to, as part of my overall philosophy, kind of get out there more that we need to try to move away from a mentality of short-term gains towards more long-term sustainability. So, you know, which will help to save money and help things over time. Other than that, I think that another big thing would be is just to, as much as we can do it, get more people more involved, educated and involved in their community, and just encourage volunteerism and serving on community boards.
What do you think prompted you to want to get involved and start volunteering? Because you've said you volunteered for most of your life.
Yeah, I think that I think like most people do that do it, they kind of were raised that way, and you know, you kind of want to look out for the little guy. And you know, I had my mother and my sister were both worked a lot with special education kids and people with disabilities. So, you know, I grew up around that quite a bit, and so kind of always felt like it was important to recognize that, you know, you do have a responsibility to help people that are out that are, you know, have a little more particular struggle with some things, and that, you know, it's kind of in my church background too, that, you know, it's kind of a social responsibility there.
Good. Now, what would you say has been probably your proudest moment, or something that you're very proud of on your time on the City Commission so far?
Well, it's only been a short time, 6 months, but there is a lot to be proud of. I'm really proud of a lot of the staff that we have at the city. It makes really what we do a lot easier. I mean, you got to rely on the professionals that are there. We have a great staff. You know, our staff goes to K-State and gives lectures to planning classes. And Jason Gage last week received the City Manager of the Year for the State of Kansas Award. I can't remember the name of the official
It's
award,
all good.
but that's all right. And then just, you know, so, you know, you got staff and upper management doing that. And then just, you know, I'm proud that we've got guys like Darren Wright, who works for the Parks Department, that are willing to roll up their sleeves and take days off and their vacation days and come up to North Salina and work on a rain garden up at North 9th and North Broadway. So, I mean, I think you've got a staff and a community and everything that kind of sees the benefit in helping out. And so that's something that I'm proud of. It's staff and even a community that values volunteerism.
That is awesome. So, you know, we only have so much time, which is always such a bummer, because I always feel like when we get in the heart of the interview, then I get the Marnie, we have to wrap up signal. What's up with that?
Yeah.
We should have like a 2-hour-long Your City in Action.
But we can sometime.
We can, totally. That's our next plan. You heard it here first. But tell me this, what are some things that maybe people don't know about Commissioner John Blanchard?
Well, that they don't know about me. Well, I have a dog.
You do?
Most people that know me know that.
Okay. What's your dog's name?
Jessie.
Jessie. Is there a reason why you named your dog Jessie?
No, I kind of like that song Jessica from the Allman Brothers. So,
See, I immediately went to Jessie's Girl by Rick Springfield.
yeah, not a Rick Springfield kind of person. More of an Allman fan.
Okay.
Yeah, more 70s rock and kind of that stuff for me. But,
See, I'm a child of the
so
80s.
That's another thing maybe people don't know about me. But also, I read a lot. I mostly nonfiction and technical stuff. I try to keep up on the latest trends in building and planning and that kind of stuff. But don't have TV or cable, so don't get into a lot of the political arguments that are huge going around, because I'm unaware. So,
That's probably good.
I think it's good because it is one of the things that what we're doing locally is really there's really no need for politics and local stuff. But that's kind of what I do. I'm an unaffiliated voter, so I'm not a party guy or whatever. So
Did you have to pick a party when you ran for City
No.
Commission?
City Commission, thankfully, and school board are nonpartisan.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
That is great. Yeah, because I always find that personally to be a bummer, like in primaries, it's like you have to pick a party. It's like,
Yeah.
what's up with that? I get it, but
Yeah.
because I feel strange when I don't vote, because I feel
Yeah.
like that's such a privilege we have.
Right, and it's really good for our local too, because you tend to make decisions that are based on the public benefit versus feeling like you have to carry a party message or anything like that. So
Do people ever ask you your political affiliation?
I haven't had anybody ever ask. I think people assume, but yeah, and I've never had anybody ask.
Now, speaking of which, do you still have a little bit of anonymity in the community, or do you get recognized all the time when people talk to you?
I mostly go undetected.
I find that hard to believe.
I can go into I can go into the store and I don't have a lot of people coming up to me that would recognize me off of on Access TV or anything.
Really?
We need to get the word out.
Yes,
on
we
Access
need to
a little more.
change that. We should
Yeah.
have like a John Blanchard show.
Well, I don't know. I think we just need to increase the overall viewership. Yeah, we're not going to have that show.
Darn it.
Yeah, I'm not into
I
that
tried.
reality TV. So,
No, but this would be good. John's thoughts. I got to think of a clever. Are you funny?
I'm not very funny.
You don't have a good sense of humor?
I have a good sense of humor. I'm just not funny.
Like you're not really good at jokes or anything?
No, that would be Commissioner Householder.
Yeah, he is interesting.
He is funny. He's funny.
He does make me laugh a lot. Sometimes I wonder why I'm laughing, but yeah, I don't know. That is crazy. Well, I do think it's amazing, though, that you feel so passionate about our community and that you serve in so many different capacities. And again, I just think it's very fascinating that you're not super connected to North Salina, but that's really where your passion has been, because the group has been involved for, is it about 2 or 3 years, did you say?
Yeah, it's 3 years. It's a pretty solid core group. The president of the group is Barb Young, who owns Tryon Manufacturing. And, we have university professor Greg Stevens, resident of North Salina, Carol Schaefer is on the board. Kathy White, who's a CPA, is on the board. Mike Wilson of Access TV fame.
Yes,
Is our secretary and does a great job and gets the word out to everybody. But very dedicated group of people that are advocating for North Salina, and most of whom don't live or work in Salina either. So
that is awesome. Well, I'm sad that I have to wrap up, but I'm so glad that you came on the program and we got to spend some time and get to know you a little better. That's very cool.
Well, I appreciate that, and I look forward to sharing more whenever you'd like.
All right, so I'm going to hold you to that, and especially when you're mayor.
Okay.
You got to come on, and we got to
Well, I
talk
will
and
certainly do that.
see if you're treated any differently or get recognized more. You might after this show.
I might after the show.
Well, thank you, John, so much.
All right, thank you, Marnie.
Thank you so much for watching.